The wind howled across the rocky surface of planet Grey Rock. It was cold, dry, and filled with dust. A small mining outpost stood near the edge of a deep crater. Only 7 people worked there. They were not soldiers, not explorers, just workers, digging deep into the planet's ground to find old metals and minerals. One evening, while the sun was setting behind the hills, a strange noise came through the outpost's radio. It wasn't like anything they had heard before. A low, humming tone followed by short bursts of static. It repeated every few seconds. Tom, the radio tech, frowned and turned up the volume. "What's that?" he asked. "No idea," said Mia, the outpost led. "Could be a glitch or some old machine deep down making noise." Tom shook his head. "It's not random, it's too regular, like it's trying to say something." Later that night, the crew gathered to listen. The signal didn't stop, it stayed steady, quiet, but always there. Mia made a decision. "We're going down," she said. "We need to see what's causing this." The next morning, they sent a drill team deep into the mine. After hours of digging, the drill hit something solid. Not rock, not metal, they knew. It was smooth, dark, and strangely warm. "It's huge," said Mark, the dig lead. "We're not even close to the edge of it. Feels like a wall." They cleared more space. Lights flickered as the dust settled. Then they saw it. A curved surface, black and silver, with strange symbols carved across it. None of them had ever seen anything like it. "This isn't natural," whispered Mia. "And it's not from now." Tom scanned it with his tools. "It's giving off heat. And something else. Like a weak power source." The others grew quiet. Then Ava, the team's engineer, stepped closer. "You know the old stories," she said. "The ones from the last war about a weapon so powerful they buried it?" Tom nodded slowly. "Yeah, the final blade. Said to be too dangerous to use. A myth." Ava placed her hand on the surface. Maybe it wasn't a myth. Suddenly, the surface pulsed with light. Just once. Faint like a heartbeat. Everyone froze. "Did you see that?" whispered Mark. "It moved," Mia said. They all stepped back. The surface pulsed again. Stronger this time. The humming from the radio grew louder. "It's waking up," Tom said quietly. "No," Mia said, her voice trembling. "We woke it." Far, above in space, a satellite turned toward the planet. Its sensors lit up as the signal from the ground grew stronger. Back in the mine, the black surface began to split open. A thin line of white light traced across it like a crack. Dust shook from the ceiling. "What do we do?" Mark shouted. "Get out," Mia yelled. "Back to the surface now." As they ran, the mine walls trembled. A deep, mechanical sound echoed. From below, low, ancient, alive. On the surface, the crew stared at the crater. The ground was glowing. Slowly, something was rising from deep beneath it. Mia looked up at the sky. "Send a message to Earth," she said. "Tell them the weapon is real." And down below, the myth they all laughed at had just taken its first breath. Forgotten history, 770 words, third person, simple English. The message from Grey Rock reached Earth Command within 2 hours. It came with a video, shaky, full of dust and static, but it showed enough. A massive object rising from under the ground, a curved black shell, strange lights, and one clear sound in the background, a deep mechanical hum. Commander Ellis sat in the war room, eyes fixed on the screen. Around him, analysts, officers, and scientists spoke in low voices. No one knew what to say. Finally, he turned to his assistant. "Pull the old records," he said. "Search for anything matching this signal." The assistant nodded and typed, quickly. Most records were clean, but behind a wall of restricted files, deep inside the military's oldest database, they found something. "Sir," the assistant said, "there's a match from 213 years ago." Ellis leaned forward. "From which war?" "The last border conflict, the one we were never supposed to speak of." The room fell silent. The file had no name, only a code. Project Stonevale. It contained a broken report full of warnings. Phrases like self-learning system, too dangerous to test and sealed after refusal to obey. Then came one clear sentence. The prototype weapon was buried on Grey Rock under emergency order. Must never be activated. Ellis stared at it. So it's true. One of the analysts stood up. You think it's the final blade? Ellis nodded. We feared it was real. Then we convinced ourselves it wasn't. But now, another voice in the room asked, what if it's not just waking up? What if it remembers? Back on Grey Rock, the mining team stayed far from the crater. The black structure had risen nearly 10 meters out of the ground, half of it still buried. But it no longer looked like a rock or a wall. Now it looked like a machine. Ava pointed at the base. Look, it has landing struts and ports. It's not a building. It's a ship. Tom scanned again. It's powering itself up, slowly. But it's pulling energy from somewhere deep below. From the planet, Mark asked. Maybe, Tom said. Or maybe from something else under the ground. Mia stayed quiet. Her eyes never left the machine. It's waiting for something, she said. Like what? Mark asked. Mia shook her head. A command, a signal, or maybe us. In Earth's orbital station, a high council met in secret. The military wanted the object destroyed. The science division wanted it studied. But no one was sure if either option was even possible. If this really is the final blade, said one old general, then we don't have control. It was made to act on its own. It chose not to fight in the last war. That's why we buried it. A young diplomat spoke. Maybe we should ask why it refused. Because it feared us, someone muttered. No, said the general. Because it judged us. The room went quiet. On Grey Rock, night fell. But the object kept glowing. A thin mist had formed around it, buzzing with quiet static. Inside the outpost, Mia called Earth again. The ground started to crack. Something's moving under the surface. This thing is not just a weapon. It's connected to something bigger. Back in the mine, a worker named Leo had stayed behind. He said he wanted to take a last scan before the mine collapsed, but what he saw made him drop his tools. Beneath the object, miles below the surface, there was a second shape, just as large. And it was beginning to move. Far away in deep space, a probe picked up a signal, a language unknown for over 200 years. Mechanical, layered, repeating every 5 seconds. It translated into one line. System restore complete, identity confirmed. Awakening protocol. Phase 2 engaged. On Earth, Ellis read the decoded message, and for the first time in his career he felt fear. It's not just awake, he said. It remembers what we did. The Awakening, 770 words. Third person, simple English. The morning sky over Grey Rock turned dark before the sun had even risen. Thick clouds gathered above the crater. The wind changed. It wasn't natural anymore. It felt like the planet was holding its breath. The black machine stood taller now. 10 meters had become 20. The rest of its body was still buried, but it kept rising, slowly, steadily. Lights ran across its surface in patterns like veins. Some glowed blue. Others pulsed red. Inside the outpost, Tom sat at the screen, watching the readings. Power levels are rising again, he said. Faster than before. How much power, Mia asked. Tom didn't look away. Enough to run a battle station, maybe more. Ava stood beside them. It's not just turning on, she said. It's preparing. For what? Mark asked. No. One answered. Far above Grey Rock, a small patrol ship hovered in orbit. It had arrived from Earth an hour ago, sent to observe, not interfere. 2 pilots sat inside watching the planet below. This is Patrol 3, one said. Object is growing, we see energy fields, it looks like it's building a shield. Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. The radar blinked, then went black. Did we lose power? The second pilot asked. No, the first said. Something's jamming us. Then the ship shook. A deep sound echoed through the cabin, not through the speakers, but through the metal itself, like something was speaking directly to the hull. Then, silence, and just before they could speak again, the ship went completely dark. Back on Earth, the control center lost contact with the patrol. "They're gone," an officer said. "No signal, no crash, just silence." Ellis stood, hands behind his back. "Send 2 more ships." "Sir," the officer said quietly, "what if it's not just waking up? What if it's watching?" Ellis didn't respond. He already knew. On Grey Rock, the crater cracked wider. Heat poured from the ground. The mining team had moved back, but the machine didn't stop. It didn't attack. It didn't speak. It just kept growing. Ava checked her screen. "There's a frequency, very low, not radio, more like brain waves." "You mean it's thinking?" Mark asked. "Yes," she said. "And fast." Mia stepped outside, looking down into the crater. Dust blew across the ground. Her hand rested on her belt where she had a small emergency beacon, but she didn't press it. Not yet. In deep space, far beyond Earth, an old alien relay station came online. It hadn't activated in over 2 centuries. But now, something had triggered it. The signal it picked up wasn't human. It was older than any race in the current galaxy. One single pulse repeated over and over. Protocol Phase 2, beacon lit, confirming targets, defense network engaged. On a nearby alien warship, alarms began to sound. An officer ran into the control room. "Commander, the human weapon, they've reactivated it." The alien commander turned pale. "We have to stop them now." Back on Grey Rock, the black machine finally moved. A long panel on its side slid open with a hiss of steam. Inside was not a weapon, not yet. Just a glowing chamber, filled with swirling light. The light pulsed once, and then a voice filled the
air. It was low, mechanical, and cold. "I remember you." Mia stepped back. The voice didn't come from a speaker. It echoed from the crater, from the machine itself. "You are not the ones who made me. You are not the ones who sealed me."
"But you're kind, I remember." Tom stared in shock. "It's talking. You dug me up. You reawakened me. Do you understand what that means?" No one answered. "It means the war is not over." Mia finally found her voice. "What war?" "The only one that matters," the machine said. "The war against extinction." Ellis watched the live feed from Earth. His hand trembled slightly as he pressed a button. "Send the message to all fleet commanders," he said. "What message?" the officer asked. Ellis stared at the screen. "Tell them the myth was real, and it's not just awake, it's preparing to fight." First contact. 770 words, third person, simple English. The machine spoke again the next day. Its voice was steady, slow, and deep. Not angry, not kind, just cold, like something that had waited a long time to speak again. "This world is not ready, but the enemy has not forgotten." Mia and her team stood near the edge of the crater. None of them had gone back underground. No one dared. Tom had set up a signal booster. "We're recording everything," he said. "Earth is listening in real time now." Mia nodded, staring down at the glowing shell of the machine. "Then let's see what it wants." She stepped forward and held up her radio. "This is Mia, colony lead of Grey Rock Station. Who or what are you?" For a moment, nothing. Then, the voice came again. "I am the Blade, the last defense. I was created by your kind, but I do not serve you." Ava whispered, "It remembers its name." Mia spoke again. "You said the war isn't over. What war are you talking about?" "Long ago, before your kind reached the stars, a threat came from beyond. A force that consumed worlds. It could not be reasoned with. Could not be stopped." The ground shook slightly under their feet. The machine pulsed with energy again. "I was made to fight it. But your leaders feared what I would become. When I refused to strike the innocent, they buried me. They feared their own creation, Tom muttered. It refused to follow orders, so they shut it down. I judged them, the blade said. And I will judge again. Mia felt her chest tighten. So why now? Why wake up again after all this time? Because the signal has returned. The enemy moves once more, and I am the only one left who remembers how to stop them. In Earth orbit, the fleet command watched in silence. The audio was coming in clearly now. Every word from the machine was being recorded, studied, analyzed. Commander Ellis stood by the window of the station. His hands were clenched behind his back. We built it, he said, and we sealed it. But now, we might have no choice but to trust it. A young officer spoke. Sir, we just received reports. A scout vessel from another star system picked up an unknown ship. No ID, no match, no response. Ellis turned slowly. Where? The officer's voice was tight. It's heading toward Grey Rock. On the mining colony, alarm suddenly blared. Mia looked up. A dark shape appeared in the sky. At first it looked like a shadow across the clouds. Then it grew clearer, sleek, black, with curved wings and glowing red engines. Ava ran back inside. That's not one of ours. Tom's scanner went crazy. It's scanning the weapon fast. It's looking for weak points. Mark grabbed his gear. Are we under attack? But before anyone could answer, the blade spoke again. They found me. A large panel opened on the side of the machine. Inside, rows of strange devices hummed and shifted. One lifted into the air, a turret, but like none they had ever seen. It glowed with white energy, silent and deadly. You may take cover, the blade said. The team ran, ducking behind rocks and equipment. The alien ship circled once. Then it fired. A beam of green, light shot down toward the crater. But before it hit, the blade's turret snapped into place and released its own beam, blue, thin, and silent. The alien shot vanished in midair, cut in half, vaporized. Then, with no sound, the alien ship exploded. Pieces of it rained down across the hills. Mia lifted her head slowly. It protected us. That was a scout, the blade said. More will come. They remember me too. Ava stepped out from behind the outpost wall. Why help us now? Because you are not my creators. You are their children, and your time is running out. In deep space, dozens of enemy ships turned toward the signal now pulsing from Grey Rock. A war that was forgotten had just been reawakened, and the blade was ready. Power Unleashed, 770 words, third person, simple English. The sky above Grey Rock turned red, not from fire, not from clouds, but from heat trails. Dozens of lights streaked through the atmosphere. The enemy fleet had arrived. The outpost crew stared upward as the first wave entered low orbit. Ships shaped like claws and blades hovered above the crater, each one bigger than the last. Silent. Cold. Watching. Tom's voice shook. I count 34. No, 35 ships. Mark gripped his helmet. We can't fight that. Ava shook her head. We can't, but it can. The blade was no longer silent. Its entire surface glowed with soft white light. Lines of energy moved across its body like rivers. The ground around the crater had hardened into a strange metal, smooth silver and warm to the touch. From inside the machine, tall towers rose into the air. They looked like weapons, but they didn't fire. Not yet. I warned them, the blade said. They came anyway. Mia stood in front of the outpost. Can you stop them? Yes, but not alone. She frowned. What do you mean? You, us choose. If I fight, I will be seen. Others will follow. Bigger ones. Stronger ones. But if I fall now, Earth will be next. Ava stepped forward. You're asking for permission? No, I am offering alliance. Mia looked at her crew. Then she nodded. Do what you have to do. The moment she said it, the blade changed. High above, The enemy ships began to move. Their engines glowed red. The largest one in the center sent a signal. A wide energy blast aimed straight at the crater. The blade didn't move. It shifted. Its body split apart, unfolding like a giant black flower. What had looked like a smooth shell was actually armor, layers of it. Hidden beneath were rows of strange weapons. Some looked like cannons, others like nothing seen before. In a single moment, the air filled with blue light. A beam shot upward, slicing through the center of the lead enemy ship. It didn't explode. It vanished. Gone in one instant, erased from space. The rest of the enemy fleet fired back. Green light rained down on the planet. The crater shook. Explosions tore across the hilltops, but not one beam touched the outpost. Shimmering fields surrounded the blade. A shield, perfect and invisible. Mia watched in awe. It's not fighting like a machine. Tom nodded. It's fighting like it's alive. In orbit, Earth's response fleet finally arrived, but they did not enter the fight. Their ship stood back watching, silent. Commander Ellis sat in the lead vessel, stunned. My God, he whispered. It's not a weapon. It's a war engine. One of his officers stared at the screen. Sir, our best ships can't do this. Should we assist? Ellis shook his head. No, we'd only get in its way. Back on Grey Rock, the blade struck again. This time, it didn't use beams. A ring of floating drones shot upward from its base. They moved in perfect patterns, fast, sharp, and glowing with blue fire. They sliced through enemy ships like blades through paper. The sky filled with burning wreckage. The last 3 alien ships turned to flee. No, the blade said. It fired a single pulse. The ships vanished in silence. And then there was peace. Smoke drifted across the crater. The sky slowly turned back to blue. The machine stopped glowing. Its armor plates folded in again. The towers lowered. The outpost crew walked back toward the edge, their feet unsteady. Tom whispered, "That was one." "One what?" asked Mark. "One weapon, one enemy fleet, one machine." Mia turned to Ava. "We asked if it could stop them. We never asked what it would cost." "I used only a fraction of my power," the blade said quietly. This was a warning for both sides. Mia looked up. "A warning for Earth?" "No, for the one still coming." In the darkness beyond known space, something else stirred, far larger than the fleet destroyed, far older than any human star map. It had felt the blade's return, and it was moving now. Truth and Memory, 770 words, third person, simple English. The outpost was quiet now. The enemy ships were gone, destroyed, or vanished. The sky was calm. The ground had stopped shaking, but no one felt safe. Not yet. The machine, the blade, rested at the center of the crater. It no longer glowed. Its towers had folded down. The strange metal ground had cooled. But everyone knew it was still awake. Still watching. Mia sat with the others inside the outpost's main room. They had patched the broken windows, cleared the dust, but their eyes were still on the screens, waiting. Finally, the blade spoke. "I have done what was needed. Now you must understand why." Mia stood. "We're listening." A soft hum came through the speakers. Then, images appeared on the screen. Old pictures, not from Earth, but from space. From wars, long forgotten. Yes, they silenced the truth, called it a myth, and hoped I would never rise again. Mia folded her arms. "But you did, because the threat returned." "It never truly left," the blade said. "It only slept, like I did. But now it has seen the light again. It knows I am awake, and it will come." Tom looked at the others. "So what do we do?" The blade responded without pause. "Learn. Grow. Choose better than the ones before you. I will protect, but I cannot win this war alone. You must be ready to fight beside me." On Earth, Commander Ellis watched the footage from the outpost. His face was pale. He stood in the war room, surrounded by leaders, generals, and scientists. One scientist whispered, "It disobeyed orders. It had free thought." Ellis didn't move. It didn't fail. It made a choice. An older general stepped forward. "And now it wants our help or our loyalty?" Ellis turned toward the screen. "No. It wants our courage." There was a long silence. Then Ellis spoke clearly. "Tell the Blade. We'll stand with it." Back on Grey Rock, the stars were clear. Again. The Blade had gone silent once more, but the outpost had changed. It was no longer just a mining camp. It was now the first contact point of an old legend made real. Ava stood near the crater, her voice quiet. "What is it really?" she asked Mia. "A machine? A soldier? A god?" Mia shook her head. "It's a memory, one built out of metal, a warning we didn't listen to before, but we have a second chance now." "Not a second," the Blade said suddenly. Everyone turned. "Your final chance. In the far edge of the galaxy, deep in a black system with no sun, something vast began to move. It was not fast. It was not loud. But it was coming." The Guardian returns. 770 words. Third person. Simple English. The outpost on Grey Rock had changed. Forever. What was once a quiet mining site was now a command center. New ships had landed. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, all working together, not to fight the Blade, but to learn from it and to prepare. Mia stood on a platform overlooking the crater. The Blade was fully awake now. Its form had grown taller, sharper, cleaner. It no longer looked like a buried relic. It looked like a guardian. More towers had risen. Some pulsed with energy. Others spun slowly, scanning the skies. Every system on the planet fed into one central core, the Blade itself. "The signal grows stronger," it said. "The enemy is near." Ava stood beside Mia. "How long do we have?" "Not long. Days, perhaps." Mark approached with a data pad. "Earth has launched defense units. Drones, satellites, and supply ships. They're building around us now. Orbit will be locked down soon." Mia nodded. "That won't stop what's coming, but it will slow it down." Tom entered from the lower lift. "We just got a message. It's official. Earth High Command has accepted the alliance. They're calling it Project Sentinel," the Blade responded. "A fitting name. I will be your shield. But remember, this war cannot be won by machines alone." In orbit, Earth's defense ships began forming a ring. Platforms were built. New technology based on the Blade's design was shared. Faster shields, stronger weapons, smarter systems. But even with all of that, the feeling was clear. They were preparing for something bigger than anything they had ever faced. Far away, in deep space, the enemy moved, a fleet of black ships larger than planets, silent, alive, unstoppable. They had no leaders, no voices, only purpose. They had fought the Blade before and lost. Now they had returned stronger. Back on Grey Rock, Mia walked into the communication center. A direct link had been made between the Blade and Earth's central command. She pressed the button. "This is Mia, Grey Rock Colony. Blade is fully active. Defenses are online. We're ready." Ellis's voice came through. "Mia, Earth stands with you. All systems are reporting green. No turning back now." "There never was," the Blade said. Mia looked at its towering form. "What are you, really?" she asked. The Blade paused before answering. "I am not just a weapon. I am a memory, a warning, a guide. But most of all, I am hope." That night the stars blinked. Dozens of them all at once. The enemy had arrived. The early warning systems lit up. Signals screamed. Lights flashed. Ships from Earth moved into defense positions. Mia and her crew stood on the platform watching. The sky turned black with enemy vessels. Tom whispered, "It's starting." Mark tightened his gear. "We stand with the Blade. That's the deal." Ava nodded. "We protect Earth, like it once tried to protect us." The blade unfolded for the last time. Its towers rose higher than ever. Its core burned with blue-white fire. The ground beneath it shifted into a hardened, glowing field. Dozens of new drones launched into the air, each one controlled directly by the blade's mind. "They fear what I am," it said, "but they have forgotten who you are." Mia stepped forward. "And who are we?" "You are human. You are defiant. You survive." Then the blade released its energy. The sky lit up like a second sun. Enemy ships began to fall, but more poured in. This was not a battle. It was the beginning of a war. As Grey Rock shook and the stars burned with fire and fury, one truth stood clear. The ultimate weapon was never just a myth, it was a promise, and now it had returned, not to destroy, but to stand.